Welcome to the English class. Today we shall listen to the line-by-line explanation of the story The Third Level by Jack Finney. Grand Central Station is a very busy railway station in New York City. There are two levels, that is, two subways from where people can take trains to their destination. From the first level, long-distance trains run between cities, and the second level connects the metropolitan residential towns with the cities by rail. In reality, there is no third level in Grand Central Station. In the story, Charlie, the protagonist, comes across the third level, which is purely a creation of his imagination. According to him, from there, one can catch trains to Galesburg, Illinois, and travel to a period in 1894, a time of peace and contentment. It is the story of Charlie, a young man who goes through a strange experience. He experiences insecurity and fear due to war and other modern day problems. He hallucinates and reaches the third level of Grand Central Station, which is a medium of escape for him from his troubles. Now let's listen to the line-by-line explanation of the lesson. The presidents of the New York Central and the New York, New Haven and Hartford railroads will swear on a stack of timetables that there are only two. But I say there are three because I have been on the third level of the Grand Central Station. Charlie said that the railway authorities confirmed that there were only two levels at Grand Central Station. But he said that there were three because he himself experienced the third level as he had been to the third level of the Grand Central Station. Yes, I have taken the obvious step. I talked to a psychiatrist friend of mine, among others. I told him about the third level at Grand Central Station, and he said it was a waking dream wish fulfillment. He said I was unhappy. He consulted his psychiatrist friend, Sam, and even some other friends. And he narrated his experience about the third level. Sam said that it was Charlie's waking dream wish fulfillment. It meant that Charlie experienced a pleasant feeling, making him forget the harsh realities of the present. And he was also sad, worried, and fearful of the difficulties of his time. He wanted to escape or run away from this insecurity, fear, worry, or the problems that he was facing due to war. Therefore, he was hallucinating or creating a world of his own where there was peace and happiness. That made my wife kind of mad. That is, when his wife heard this, she was upset. But he explained that he meant the modern world is full of insecurity, fear, war, worry, and all the rest of it, and that I just want to escape. That Charlie wanted to escape from his present day realities, his problems. Well, who doesn't? Charlie agreed with his friend that everybody wanted to escape from the harsh realities of life. Everybody I know wants to escape, but they don't wander down into any third level at Grand Central Station. He said he agreed. People wanted to escape from the harsh realities of life, but people didn't wander down to any third level at Grand Central Station. It was strange that he wandered down to the third level at Grand Central Station. But that's the reason, he said, and my friends all agreed. Everything points to it, they claimed. My stamp collecting, for example, that's a temporary refuge from reality. His other friends too said that he was undergoing such experience because he wanted to escape from reality. His stamp collection was a proof of his desire to escape from the real world, which would give him a temporary refuge, a temporary respite. It gave him only temporary relief. Well, maybe. But my grandfather didn't need any refuge from reality. He said his grandfather did not require any relief from reality. Things were pretty nice and peaceful in his day. He said his grandfather lived at a time when there was peace and contentment and serenity, and he did not require any kind of relief. And he said, he started my collection. He said his grandfather started his stamp collection. And he said it's a nice collection too. Blocks of 4 of practically every US issue, first day covers, and so on. President Roosevelt collected stamps too, you know. Charlie believed that could have been a possibility, but he said his grandfather had actually started his stamp collection. His grandfather lived at a time when there was peace and happiness. It was not a means of escape from reality for his grandfather. Collecting stamps was not a means of escape from reality for his grandfather. And he said it was a brilliant collection of stamps with blocks of 4 of every US issue. Every stamp US issued, and first day covers. First day covers means that when a new stamp is issued, the collectors buy that stamp on the very first day of the issue and use them to mail envelopes to themselves. The new stamp gets the postmark and the date. The receiver never opens the envelope because he knows that he himself has put a blank paper in it. That is first day covers. He further said, President Roosevelt collected stamps too. Even President Roosevelt collected stamps. Anyway, here's what happened at Grand Central. One night last summer, I worked late at office. I was in a hurry to get uptown to my apartment, so I decided to take the subway from Grand Central because it's faster than the bus. Charlie said that one day, having worked late at the office, he was in a hurry to reach his home and decided to travel by the subway train from the Grand Central because it was faster than the bus. Now, I don't know why this should have happened to me. I'm just an ordinary guy named Charlie, 31 years old, and I was wearing a tan gabardine suit and a straw hat with a fancy band. I passed a dozen men who looked just like me, and I wasn't trying to escape from anything. I just wanted to get home to Louisa, my wife. He said that he was a 31-year-old ordinary man wearing a tan gabardine suit. Gabardine suit means a smooth, durable, twill-woven worsted or cotton cloth, and a straw hat with a fancy band. He saw many men like him at the station. He was not trying to escape from anything. He just wanted to get home to be with his wife Louisa. I turned into Grand Central from Vanderbilt Avenue and went down the steps to the first level where you take trains like the 20th century. His strange experience began as he entered the Grand Central station from Vanderbilt Avenue. He walked down the steps to the first level from where one took trains like the 20th century trains. 20th century trains means an express passenger train on the New York Central Railroad. Then I walked down another flight to the second level where the suburban trains leave from, ducked into an arched doorway heading for the subway and got lost. Then he walked down another set of stairs and got into the second level from where one could catch suburban trains. Means trains that operate to and fro to residential areas from cities. From there he entered an arched doorway leading to the subway and he got lost. That's easy to do. Means it was nothing unusual. One could easily get lost at Grand Central subways. I've been in and out of Grand Central hundreds of times. Even though he had been in and out of Grand Central many times, each time he would come across new doorways, staircases and corridors. Once I got into a tunnel about a mile long and came out in the lobby of the Roosevelt Hotel. Another time I came up in an office building on 46th Street, 3 blocks away. It was nothing strange to get lost like that, because even though he had been in and out of Grand Central many times, each time he would come across new doorways and staircases and corridors. Once he entered a tunnel about a mile long and came out in the lobby of the Roosevelt Hotel. And at another time, he landed up in an office building on 46th Street, 3 blocks away. He imagined that Grand Central Station grew like a tree, coming up with new corridors and staircases like roofs. There could be a secret tunnel under the city to the Times Square or the Central Park. And maybe because for so many people through the years, Grand Central has been an exit, a way of escape. Maybe that's how the tunnel I got into. But I never told my psychiatrist friend about that idea. He felt that for many years, for a lot of people, Grand Central had been a place of escape. That could be the reason he too got into that tunnel of escapism, a way of running away from reality. But he did not tell this feeling to Sam, his psychiatrist friend. The corridor I was in began angling left and slanting downward, and I thought that was wrong, but I kept on walking. He entered into a corridor that was very strange. It turned left and sloped downward. Although he knew he was in the wrong place, he continued walking. All I could hear was the empty sound of my own footsteps, and I didn't pass a soul. Then I heard that sort of hollow roar ahead, that means open space and people talking. As he walked, he could just hear the sound of his own footsteps. There was no one there. After a while, he heard people speaking at a distance. The tunnel turned sharp left. He turned left and walked down. I went down a short flight of stairs and came out in the 3rd level at the Grand Central Station. He turned left and walked down a short flight of stairs and reached the 3rd level at Grand Central Station. For a while he thought he reached the 2nd level. For just a moment I thought I was back on the 2nd level, but I saw the room was smaller. There were fewer ticket windows and train gates, and the information booth in the center was wood and old looking. Just as he thought that he had reached the 2nd level, he saw that the room was smaller there, and there were lesser number of ticket windows and train gates. The information booth was made of wood and old looking. And the man in the booth wore green eye shade and long black sleeve protectors. The lights were dim and sort of flickering. Then I saw why. They were open flame gas lights. And the man in the booth wore a green eye shade and long black sleeve protectors. The lights at the station were dim and sort of flickering, as they were open flame gas lights. Charlie saw brass spittoons. Spittoons means a bowl or container meant for spitting into, and a flash of light caught his eye. He saw a man taking out a gold watch from his vest. Vest means the dress worn on the upper part of the body. From his vest pocket and glancing at it. He had worn a derby hat. Derby hat means a hat that is round and hard with a narrow brim or edge. A black 4-button suit with tiny lapels. Lapels means the folded part on each side of a coat below the collar. He had a big black handlebar mustache. Handlebar mustache means lengthy, upwardly curved mustache. Everyone in the station seemed to belong to the 1890s. He saw a woman coming out of the train wearing a dress with leg of mutton sleeves. Means a sleeve that is extremely wide over the upper arm and narrow from the elbow to the wrist, and skirt to the top of her high buttoned shoes. He saw a small courier and Ives locomotive with a funnel shaped stack. Funnel shaped stack means funnel shaped chimney. These were evidences that he was in the 1890s. To make sure, I walked over to a newsboy and glanced at the stack of papers at his feet. It was The World. The World hasn't been published for years. The lead story said something about President Cleveland. He wanted to confirm what he had seen at the station was true, and whatever he saw there belonged to a period of 1890s. So he walked over to a newsboy who was selling the newspaper The World. But he said The World hadn't been published for years. The cover story was about the then president, 1890s president. The main story was about him, President Cleveland. It was printed in June 1894. On the front page it was printed June 11, 1894. When he saw this, he was sure that he had been in the 1890s. He had traveled to the past that had not experienced the world wars and a time that was full of peace and contentment. I turned toward the ticket windows, knowing that here on the third level at Grand Central I could buy tickets that would take Louisa and me anywhere in the United States we wanted to in the year 1894. He realized that he was at the third level at Grand Central, and he went to the ticket windows to buy 2 tickets for him and his wife Louisa. He knew he could buy tickets to travel to any place in the United States in the year 1894 that belonged to a period of 1894. He wanted to travel to Galesburg, Illinois, a calm and serene place. It's a wonderful town still, with big old frame houses, huge lawns, and tremendous trees whose branches meet overhead and roof of the streets. He said it was a wonderful city. The houses were big, old frame houses, meaning houses that have steep angle roofs resembling a triangle. People had sufficient leisure time. That's why he said their summer evenings were twice as long. And people sat out on their lawns. Plenty of leisure time. The men smoking cigars and talking quietly. The women waving palm leaf fans with the fireflies all around in a peaceful world. It was a time before the 2 world wars had taken place, and it was a place that was peaceful and serene. And he said to be back there with the First World War still 20 years off and World War II over 40 years in the future, I wanted 2 tickets for that. He wanted 2 tickets, one for him and one for his wife, to travel to Galesburg, Illinois, because it was a wonderful, serene and calm place. So we see in this first part, Charlie wanting to escape from the problems that he was facing and creating a world of his own, a time of his own, that is a period of 1890s, a period when people experienced a lot of peace, a lot of harmony, a lot of serenity. He was very much troubled by his problems of the war-torn world. That's why he wanted to escape to this world of serenity. The remaining part of the story we will do in the next session. Thank you for watching.